everyone. Welcome to Masters of Data. I'm Adam White. I have with me Zoe Hawkins and Jake Lee. Hello, y'all. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hello.
Jake is going to be at reInvent next week. It feels like it's been
Time
a
is
year.
ephemeral. We're just rolling with it at this
Feels like it's been
point.
a year leading up to reInvent, which I guess it has in a lot of ways. But we're super excited about what we're bringing to reInvent next week, and wanted to get Jake on to talk about a couple of those things. So thank you for joining us, Jake.
And for
Um,
those of you who are watching this during reInvent, it just
exactly.
pretend you're in the future or in the
Yeah,
past. I don't
that's
know. One of
right.
those ways.
Yeah. If you're going to be at reInvent, please stop by and see us in person. Jake will be there in the booth doing demos. If you're not going to reInvent, we wanted to give you a glimpse of what's happening and what we're super excited about that we'll be talking about so much next week. So yeah, super excited. You may know already that we've released our query agent, our knowledge agent as a part of Dojo AI. And at reInvent, we're going to be talking specifically about our SOC analyst agent and our MCP server, which we're excited about. So Jake is going to run through a couple of those demos again that we'll be doing at the booth, and we'll get to see this in real time. So excited about that. Jake, thanks again for jumping in and joining us with those.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Should we just jump right in and talk a little bit
Yeah,
about what's coming, what we're going to be showing at the booth?
let's
Yeah,
do
I'm
it.
so excited to
Uh-huh.
see it.
Cool. Let me pull this up here. So two big things that we are going to be focused on showing off. One of them is our SOC analyst agent, and I'll show you real quickly just kind of what that looks like here. And another one is our external MCP server. We'll give you a little bit of a taste of like how folks can use that too. But basically, the goal here, right, with with these tools that we're launching is saving time for analysts, saving time for people that are in the tool. Just like everybody else who's adopting agentic AI, right? We're trying to save time for ourselves, and what's the most value we can get out of that. What we're delivering and what we're going to be showing at reInvent is primarily around our SOC analyst agent. This is a pretty nifty tool that we've been working on, where essentially we're just pulling in all the context of our alerts that are firing in Cloud SIEM, and equipping tools like Tier 1 analysts, Tier 2 analysts with the ability to capture all of the context and details that they need in an investigation, and what's the best way we can do to assist them in that manner. So some pretty cool stuff that we're doing here, just to kind of run you through it. Basically, when we have these alerts that are firing in Sumo and in Cloud SIEM, we're automatically got some triage agent, or we already have, sorry, let me restart there. Just to give you an idea of what we're doing and going to be showing at the booth in Cloud SIEM. Basically, when we have these alerts that fire in Sumo, we're going to basically have our triage agent or our SOC analyst agent automatically run some triage analysis on your alert. So we're going to give you things like an AI verdict on whether we think this is truly malicious, suspicious, or benign. We're going to give you a recommendation on whether we think this is, a higher severity alert or maybe a lower severity alert. We're going to bring in all that context and surface that to the analyst. So we'll give you a nice little breakdown summary of what happened, which entities were involved, and then a lot of the key findings too that we're seeing just in the analysis of this alert. But what's really exciting, in my opinion, is when we want to jump into an investigation where we can leverage Mobot, right? That's really where we're going to see a lot of the magic happen, and where we think a lot of analysts are going to save a lot of their time. So one of
One
the
quick
cool things,
question,
yeah,
Jake. So like a before state of this would be you have a list of insights, and obviously there's a global confidence score and some things to look at. But like this really just from like helping an agent focus. Not only are we giving them a severity, but also just all of that work that AI is doing to say, here's what happened, here are the key findings, like already kind of putting the analyst mind down of an investigation path. Like that feels like a super powerful thing. It's almost like you've got this coworker who's done work ahead of you, to kind of bubble all of that to the surface.
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it comes back to that point of how can we save time, right, for the team, how can we save time for the analysts, and make sure that we're giving them rich context in their investigation, like the things that they would need to be doing anyways to go find it.
Yep.
If they can have somebody else do it for them, have the right hand man go and do it for them, then they can focus on other elements on how do we remediate this issue, right?
Yeah.
And so surfacing valuable, high fidelity context, like that's really the goal, and doing that in a short amount of time. So yeah,
And
so for
that, sorry, and that, like, I know the AI verdict piece is new with the SOC analyst agent, but that summary piece, that's from the summary agent, right? Is that pulling through already from the summary agent that's GA'd? So that
that's
piece
exactly right.
there is already GA, that's already out in the wild where it's kind of like, hey, here's a bit of like a narrative about the insight, but now we're able to take it a step further with the SOC analyst agent of saying like, hey, this is kind of more critical than that other one, and it's probably malicious or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Right. We're basically taking in all that context of what happened and all the different signals and all the different detections in that alert. And we're saying, hey, based off of our own recommendation, our own analysis, we actually recommend that this is a true positive. You really should take a look. You should escalate it, right? And that's really where the triage details of that SOC analyst agent come into play, where you want to take things a step further, right? When you're like, hey, let's get deeper with it. Let's try to see what is the broader scope of the impact of this alert, right? Were there other users involved as well outside of just this detection? That's really where this investigation piece can really come into play. So if we
I
all want to
love
keep
that it
things,
I
go
love that it
ahead.
brings in all this context too. Like it's almost like switching between agents when you're on the phone and you have to re-explain. You still have all of that context right here when you're starting the investigation to work off of, which is just awesome.
Yeah, I also
That's
noticed
exactly
that you don't
right.
have to like copy paste everything in or be like, hey, let me get you up to speed on where we are. Like it's
Yeah,
already up to speed. That's awesome.
super
That's
great.
exactly right. Right. So it's like pulling context between tools. They're all communicating, working together. Right. And then when you want to gather more context, like what can I do in that state? So if we keep things even really broad and we just say, hey, go run an investigation for me. Right. Well, what does an investigation mean? That could mean a lot of things. So this is going to pull in all the context that we shared with it. It's going to neatly organize all the data that it's going to find. It's going to automatically go run queries on our behalf. And then it'll give you a nice, neat summary with a bow on top of like, hey, this is everything that we can see in your security data. Here's the timeline. Here's all the data sets that are available. And here's our recommended next steps too that we think you should take based off of that. And having to make that decision alone, right? Just to one, get all the context and then be able to say, okay, now what do I do? Right? We're just guiding that user in that direction. And it's not something they have to go and do, right? But it's key context that's very valuable to that user. So that way they know, hey, manager X, Y, and Z, right? This is what we're seeing. I think based off of our recommendations, this is the path that we should be taking. Here's our, confirmed malicious attack. These are all the users that are involved. It just went and did that for me rather than me having to go manually run all these different queries, right? That could take me hours and this runs in seconds, right? That's the whole goal is how can we
That is
save time?
so cool. Sorry, I'm just like reading as you're talking and not paying attention. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But like I love seeing this so much of like you can see the credential compromise, but then you can see like AWS reconnaissance and data access and like exfiltration. Like you can see all the things where that would be, I imagine normally you're like, oh crap, this one's credentials were compromised. Were those credentials used anywhere? You'd have to go search, you'd have to go find that. Now it's all in one place where you can be like, yep, these credentials were compromised. This is where it was used to try and, this is where someone tried to use them. This is what's happening so far. Like, wow, that just,
Yep.
I'm just thinking for myself, like all the steps that I would even be imagining I would have to take, but now you don't have to. It's just all right there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you take these things like when you look at it from a more of a holistic view too, it's like sometimes when these alerts fire, we spend so much time just focused on what happened in the scope of this alert. What did this one user do? But then where the really, in my opinion, where I think this becomes valuable is you could say, hey, we've got somebody authenticating from this thread IP. Who else is affected, right? And I go ask a question, say, who else is authenticating from this thread IP? Now it's searching beyond the scope of just that one alert. And now you have that broader impact of what is the scope of this event. Wow, it's hitting 10 other people. It's hitting five other people. I think that's really where the correlation, not just within a single event, is critical. It's like correlation beyond those events, right? Like, and then one part of that is going to be how do we document all of this, right? We've done all this investigation, and when it comes to giving out a root cause analysis and sharing out those details, you need to have a documented process of this is everything we did. Well, here you go, right? Everything's nice, neatly written out for you in your historical record for it too.
Yeah.
So a
That
lot of
is
cool,
so,
exciting stuff.
yeah, that's so clever. Like, I just keep thinking, like, when you're in the heat of an incident, like when you're in the middle of it, you're just like, okay, just reset their passwords. Let's keep it moving. Like, I've got a million other things happening. And this is kind of like making sure you're like, hey, did you check that IP address? Like, did you also look at this and this and this? And you're like, okay, okay. Like, now I know I've actually covered all my bases. So
Yeah.
Yep.
super cool. I love the
Yep.
look of that.
We should say this,
That's
this is live code too. Like this is not, something that's vibe coded like it's running in a real environment. It's, so just want to, make that clear that like a lot of AI stuff is, just
A
a
Figma
Figma.
that
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
clicks through. Yeah.
This is actually working. And so,
yep.
yeah, super excited to see it.
That's
So
awesome.
that's just one portion of it, right? So the whole idea too, you hear me talk about like the MCP server too, is this is really cool that something we can do in the console in Sumo. How can I get the same value of how I use Sumo outside of that? How do I do that in my own tool, right? And that's really where that MCP server comes into play. It basically allows you to talk to all these different agents, talk to our APIs, Sumo Logic APIs, but leveraging those within your own known and favorite tools, daily tools. So whether you're in a Slack channel and you've got alerts fired in your Slack thread, maybe you want to run your investigation in Slack and you just do it all in the Slack thread. That's what the MCP server would allow you to do,
I love that. I'm
right?
used to chatting with people all day in Slack. Why not chat with my agents too?
Yeah,
Like put them
Yeah.
in the mix, get them in the
And
channel. I
new
love
best
that.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Am
exactly
I
right.
talking to Jake or am I chatting to Jake AI? I don't know. We'll find out.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
and
super
the
cool. Can you
scope.
show it to us? Can you show us the MCP server?
Yeah, so
I
I'll
mean,
even
not the
give you a
server itself, but the
I'll give you even a different example, right? So let's broaden the scope here a little bit. So if we think about like, yes, I could use my MCP server for a security investigation or situation, absolutely. But let's think about like even if you're a different persona, maybe somebody else using wanting to use the MCP server, how can I still get the benefit of those tools without having to log into Sumo? So the benefit of the MCP server is like you can integrate it with any tool you want. So whether that's a Slack, whether that's an IDE like VS Code, and you're a developer trying to debug your logs, right? We can still use all of those tools, and that's the kind of that benefit. It doesn't matter what tool I'm in, I get to still get the same value I want out of Sumo, but outside of Sumo. So like in this example, right, I've got this like sample dummy application. It just pretends to basically execute a bunch of payments, right? Just like a simple little payment processor. And as a developer, I might be in here writing code and debugging, and I might have all my logs, historical logs being stored in Sumo. Now, it can be time consuming for me to be pivoting between different tools, right? I'm in here writing code, and then I'll go into Sumo and go search into my logs. Well, if I could just search my logs straight from within the tool that I'm in to help me out when I'm debugging, well, that's going to save a lot of time for me. And not only just searching logs, maybe it's like creating dashboards or opening dashboards, or if you wanted to manage users, you could do that too, right? It's kind of outside the scope of a developer, but essentially you have access to all those abilities. So like in this scenario, if I'm in here and I'm debugging my code and I'm writing code and I wanted to search into Sumo for any errors that I might be having in my code, then what I could do is I could just say, hey, search into Sumo for recent errors. And then I would give it like a data feed, right? So whatever I've got in Sumo, I'm just going to say it's my payment processor, which is this little app that I'm running, right? If we could spell here.
I can never type if someone's
Yeah.
watching, so
Oh,
this is
So if I
very
go ahead and
brave.
run this, right, it's gonna basically, with the help of GitHub Copilot connected to our MCP server, it's basically gonna go build that query for me, right? So it's gonna say, okay, you're looking at this data feed. Let's go ahead and create a search job. It's gonna go and build that query for me. So here's my basically my query syntax. It's going to go check the status of that search job, and when it's ready, it's going to spit out the results in a nice little summary format. So here it's saying, okay, we're seeing a lot of these errors in your charge card function. in this Sumo payment processor. Maybe I will ask it a follow-up question and say, like, where exactly in my code do I need to implement a fix? And then
This is
that's where it's going to take that context from before that it pulled from Sumo, and it'll say, all right, on this line in this code and this function, see, in your charge card function, this is where you're having that error. So it's pretty neat. I can just click into there and boom, it takes me right into that function where I need to implement my change, right? So
mind
I didn't
blowing.
have to log into Sumo, right? It's just like matter
Yeah.
of seconds. I had, here's your error, go fix it, right?
That is
And
so
shows you
cool.
where specifically in the code it is. Like
Like,
maybe that's
this is where the
something.
log came from. Go fix it right here is magic.
Yeah.
Yep. I think
Maybe.
this also showcases the benefit of like all of these different tools communicating, right? So it's not just Sumo MCP server, but I could plug Sumo MCP server into GitHub Copilot. I could go plug it into Claude Code. I could go plug it into my Slack channel. It's like it's universal in that aspect. So whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you're using in your daily tools, you still get that same value of what you'd use Sumo for just in your favorite day-to-day tool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and without having to worry about, again, like copy pasting things in or moving data around. And is that a security issue? Is that allowed? Are you, making some issues? This is all safely connected, you know, all integrated. That is really, I've seen the Slack version of this. I did not see this. This is very cool. Like just imagining someone debugging and being able to like check it on the fly with AI is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that idea there is like, doesn't matter who you are as a user, right? If you need a reason to use Sumo to search into your log data, whether it's a security perspective or as a developer or software engineering, right? It's like you still can access those tools from whatever you're comfortable using. And so I think as we see us adopt more and more of agentic AI, we start to implement more and more agents, you're going to start to see these things communicate together even more, and it's just going to get even more seamless and ultimately, again, saving time, right, for our users.
And
I
really
love
building
how.
that source of truth as well that I love. Like,
Yeah.
if everybody's got these agents working, those logs are just there and the agents can find them and use them. It's phenomenal.
I
Yep.
love how practical and kind of available it makes the log data as well. It's not just this stuff that's sitting out there in
Buried.
the cloud,
Yeah.
but it's like things that you can tangibly use and use, quickly and easily and through other solutions as well. So, those things were available, via API in the past, but MCP just kind of takes it to another level. And yeah, so through both of those examples, Jake, thanks for showing those. Really making a SOC an investigation go extremely quickly, and also the MCP example. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun to show those in the booth, and I think everyone's going to really enjoy them. So
Yep. And this is just scratching the surface, right? We've got all kinds of stuff that we'll be showing too. So
yeah,
this was just a little bit of a taste. So if you're interested, you want to learn more, come say hi to us, right? We'd love to walk you through it.
For sure. And these are the demos that we're showing at reInvent. But if you are unable to attend or you want to have a personalized deep dive, definitely get in touch, request a demo, and we can walk through it, with you, one-on-one virtually as well. So whether you're at reInvent or not, definitely get eyes on this, on what all these capabilities are. I think is super cool to
sure.
see.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jake, and thank you again, Zoe. Really appreciate it. It's great to see you all, and hopefully we'll see you at reInvent. But as Zoe mentioned, please get in touch with us if you'd like to see more, and everyone have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks so
Right on.
much.